What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Board Games Are For Everybody, where today we're going to be doing an unboxing for Hues and Cues, a guessing game of colors and clues. This is a game that I saw online. I saw someone talking about it. I've never actually seen gameplay of the game, but I heard someone talking about it, and it seemed like something I could really get into. And then I learned that this is a party game, and we don't usually have a whole lot of people around to play games with. But luckily, we were able to find a two-player variant, so that's what we're going to be trying when we get to it. It makes it more of a cooperative game opposed to a competitive game. But let's open up the box and see what we got in the game. If I can get it open. Jeez, these plastic wrappings are getting harder and harder to get open, apparently. It's stretching the entire package. There we go. It's just stretching the plastic, but not ripping. Alrighty, there we go. Hues and Cues by the OP Games, or the OP Games, however they prefer to be titled as. Let's toss this up here. So, first things first, we've got our board. So, the board consists, I believe, I can't remember how many colors it is, but I want to say that there's over 200 colors on here. What is this? This is 30 by A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, 26 board. Now, I'm not a math person, so I can't do that super quick. That's a big number for me, but there's over over 300 here, right? There's a lot of colors here. First thing I'm noticing with this board, it's a little I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this up. I need to fold it a little bit so that you can kind of see this properly. I'm covering it now. Up here by these oranges, you can kind of see it. The board's a little warped already. This is coming out of the box. That's not something I'm particularly impressed by. Granted, I mean, it wasn't a particularly expensive game, but that's not really the point. You know, when you buy something, you kind of expect it to be in a nice shape when you get it. But you can see the corners of the board are kind of starting to peel in. That's mostly from it being folded. It's something that'll happen over it being folded over time. It's possible that things just kind of got squished a bit too much. But this is our board for Hues and Cues. We have the entire color spectrum with the exception of white to black, because I think that would just make things way too hard. It looks like the white to black is used for the score track, but for the actual game, we just use the actual colors here. We've got our instructions here. This is a very, very flimsy instruction manual. This is, I don't know, something about this paper just feels really, really cheap. I don't know what it is. You can even see kind of up here above the G, the paper's already bending, like out of the box in a weird way. Hue, a gradation or variety of color or tint. Cue, a hint or guiding suggestion. So, overview of the game. How well can you describe a color? In Hues and Cues, players will take turns giving 1- and 2-word hints to get the other players to guess a specific color on the board. Players score points based on how close they get to the correct color, and the cue giver scores points based on the accuracy of the guesses. Components, 1 game board. Obviously, we have 100 color cards. This would be our 100 color cards right here. Let's open these up and see what the quality of these cards is like. Based on the board, I don't have high hopes, but they're fine. They're fine, I guess. It's I don't know if you can really see it on the camera or not, but they've got some wear and tear to them. Like the cards were cut a little rushedly, whatever the right word would be, a little quickly. They've got some wear kind of on the sides coming out of the box. But yeah, as you can see, we've got quite a lot of color cards here. It's a lot of color cards. So we got all of our color cards. The cards are, they feel a little cheap. The quality is meh. It's fine. It's serviceable. It'll do what it needs to do. I think if they get used too much, they're going to wear out a little quick. 30 player pieces, 3 each in 10 colors. That would be these right here. Looks like we've got definitely a bunch of different colors. They look like ice cream cones. Okay, so we've got black. We've got white. We've got gray. We've got, oh god, we have pink and red. This is going to be confusing. These are both pink. This is also pink. We've got red. We've got orange. We've got purple. We've got green. We've got yellow, and we've got blue. Now, oh, here it is. I was going to say I'm only seeing 2 blue tokens here, so hopefully I'm not missing one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 colors, 3 each. Those are our player tokens. They're okay. They're just plastic. It's a little, again, it's weird to say, but it feels just like a cheap plastic. It's just a cheap mold. It's really, they're also very slippery, apparently. Oh, let's see if I can get that without shifting the camera here too much. Okay, we're back. Yeah, I hate to say it, but man, like this is kind of like when we did the unboxing for the Monopoly longest game ever edition, is that the components just feel really flimsy and really, I don't know. I feel like I get it's just like a plastic token that you're putting on the board, but I don't know. It could be more. It could be more. Setup. Place the board in the center of the play area. Give each player 3 pieces of the same color. 1 should be placed to the left of the score track, which I guess would be over here. So 1 would be placed to the left of the score track. We're just going to do this with, let's do it with 4 colors, I guess, would be the best way to do it. So we're going to go purple, yellow, gray, and green. Because I typically always play as the green player if it's an option. Green is one of my favorite colors, and I like playing as the green. I'm gonna need to find a bag for these because there's no bag for this to come in. Everyone who's watched all my videos knows that I love games that come with bags to put the pieces in. We also have the scoring frame, which is right here. You just punch out all the sides, and I guess you slot them together somehow. They came out nice at least. At least this was punched well. I've gotten some games where the punch is not quite all the way through, and you risk damaging the cutouts because the game just doesn't. They didn't cut them properly when they decided to put them around. So how does this work? I'm going to guess like this. I'm going to guess that the colors are matched with the colors. That would make sense. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Because this would now be the wrong way. Okay, does it show me how to put this together? Oh, okay. Piece A, B, so what? A is this one. B is this one. D is this one. C is this one. Okay. This is your first time playing. Assemble the scoring frame as shown, sliding pieces A and B on to D with the front sides of the ones. Okay. So the 1 is the back, I guess, and the 2s all go in the middle. That's what it seems to be. And then I guess this one would just come like this. Okay. So the colors do not match up on the scoring track. That's a missed opportunity right there, let me tell you. This feels really wobbly when it's put together. A little bit of wobble. Okay, so the cue, where were we? Place the board in the center, give each player 3 pieces of the same color, which we've done. Place 1 to the left of the score track, with the players keeping 2 of their own. Shuffle the color cards to form a face-down draw pile. All right, well, let's shuffle. Oh, that is not a color card. You've tricked me, game. These are promotional cards. Almost shuffled the promotion. I wonder what happened if you shuffled the promotional cards into the deck and you drew a promotional card. Then what do you do? Set the scoring frame off to one side. Starting the game, the player who is wearing the most colorful outfit will be the cue giver for the first round. I like when games use an interesting thing to determine the first player. Far too many games just say, "Oh, the youngest player goes first." And as someone who is not the youngest player when I play board games, I very often play second, which can get a little frustrating. So I always like when they make some sort of funky kind of thing. I was working on making a game, and my criteria for the first player was the last person to be by a body of water of any size. So like you could be like drinking a glass of water. You could have gone to wash your hands. You could have had a shower. If you were the last one by water, you're going first. But yeah, I like when games use interesting ways to kind of determine who goes first. So step number 1, draw a card. The cue giver draws the top card of the deck and looks at it. Make sure not to let any other players see it. The cue giver chooses one of the colors on the card to try and describe with cues. Coordinates are included for each color. This will be important for scoring. Number 2, the cue giver gives a one-word cue to describe their chosen color. The word given may be anything except the following. So it can't be anything. You may not use the color's name, i.e. purple, green, red, pink, yellow, orange, brown, white, black, gray, etc., because there are so many different colors. I mean, you missed your opportunity to list like literally every color. There's magenta, there's maroon, there's like seafoam and aquamarine. You missed your opportunity instructions. You missed your opportunity because you didn't make this. Oh, okay. I didn't read far enough. Abstract color names such as chartreuse, lavender are acceptable. What? You're allowed to use colors that aren't straight up the name of the color. You could totally use seafoam. That's ridiculous. I would strike that rule immediately playing with anybody, that you cannot use colors at all. At all. That's just me though. This is the way that the game is. You're allowed to use abstract colors. You may not refer to the color's position on the board or the letters and numbers. You may not refer to any object in the room. So it has to be somewhere else. You may not repeat a clue used earlier in the game. So that's going to make things tricky. That you'd have to keep a pad of pen and paper on you, I guess, because you're not allowed to repeat any clue that's been given. Which actually reminds me of a game called Unspeakable Words. It's a card game. It's kind of like Scrabble, but you're only allowed to use each word once for the entire game. So we always keep a pad of pen and a piece of paper to write down what words have been used. It reminds me of that. Step number 3, first guess. In clockwise order, all players now take turns guessing. On their turn, each player indicates their guess by placing one of their pieces on the square that they think matches the cue giver's description. Important, each color can only be guessed once. A color is guessed if the space contains a piece. 2, two-word cue. Sorry, this is step number 4, two-word cue. Once all players have placed their first piece, the cue giver now gives a 2-word cue. The 2-word cue must follow the same guidelines for the 1-word cue. This includes not using words like lighter or darker to suggest a position on the board relative to the first guesses made. They may choose to pass on their second cue or give another 1-word cue. Second guesses. This time, in counterclockwise order, players make a second guess by placing their remaining pieces onto any unoccupied space of the board. So let's move our stuff up to the top here. Let's say that green is going to be our starting player to be the cue giver. Scoring. After all players have made their second guess, the cue giver reveals the color by placing the scoring frame onto the board so that the color of the card is in the center. Use the letters and number coordinates on each card to ensure it is aligned properly. Points are awarded as follows. The cue giver receives 1 point for each piece that is within the scoring frame. In a 3-player game, the cue giver scores 2 points per piece in the scoring frame. Guessers receive points based on how close they are to the correct color. If a player guesses the color exactly, they receive 3 points. Each other piece within the scoring frame, but not on the exact color, receives 2 points. Each piece on a space adjacent to the outside of the scoring frame, including diagonally, is worth 1 point. Track the points by moving each player's piece the appropriate amount of spaces on the scoring track. The cue giver can earn a maximum of 9 points. Any individual guesser can earn a maximum of 5 points, 3 for the correct answer and 2 for their own piece being within the frame. So that's pretty much all the rules. Gray player chooses a color and gives their 2 cues. All players have made a guess. So this is just going over stuff. We do have additional rules down here. We'll get to that in a sec. Starting a new round, all guessing pieces are returned to their owners. The next player in the clockwise order becomes the cue giver and draws a new card from the deck. Game end. For games with 3 to 6 players, the player continues until each player has been the cue giver twice. If playing with 7 or more players, each player will be the cue giver once. That makes sense. After all players have taken their turn being the cue giver once or twice, the person with the highest total of score is the winner. So this is a pretty simple setup. So let's say green is our first cue giver. I'm just going to put this up here so we know that green is the cue giver. They draw a card, and then they choose one of these cards, or one of these colors, I guess, from the thing. So let's say we go with B25 up here, this purpley kind of color. We would have to start with a 1-word cue, and that 1-word cue for me would most likely be a plum. Now, plums are a little darker, but I'm having trouble at the moment thinking of something that is that shade of purple. That isn't a 2-cue word, because I do have something for a 2-cue word, but let's say we go with a plum, the fruit. So let's say that gray would be the next person towards us. Now, they know that plums typically a little darker, so let's say that they end up going at like B25. Let's say they go at like D25, because D is, a pretty plumish kind of color down there. And let's say that yellow just has never seen a plum in their life, and they're like, well, I know plums are purple, but are they light? Are they dark? Let's say that yellow decides to go like way over here, closer to the pinkish spectrum. They go B22, a really light plum maybe. And let's say purple, they're just like super smart. They're like, damn, I know what you're talking about. A plum? Okay. But they think it's a little darker. Let's say they go C25, get a little closer. So now that everyone's placed their thing, we're going to have to do a 2-word cue, which is my better cue for this. Anyone who plays video games, they're going to know right here that that's the color of Wario's pants. That is the color of Wario's overalls. And on that guess, I mean, I would probably get it. Granted, to be fair, this doesn't actually quite line up with the color that's on the board for B25, it actually looks a little lighter. It looks a little lighter than the color that's on B25 to me. But for this, I'd say this is Wario's pants. That's definitely what it is. So we're now going counterclockwise, starting with purple. And let's say they're like, Wario's pants. I got it. Okay. B25. They know what's going on. Let's say yellow. Same thing I just said. That's not quite the same color. This is a little lighter. I would honestly say that it looks a bit more like this one over here. So let's say that they're like, yeah, Wario's pants. That's like a lightish purple, right? And then we come back to gray. Let's say that they're a little closer to purple, and they're like B24. That looks like a Wario's pants kind of shade. So from this point, we would take our scoring track and we would center in on the one that is the correct answer, which is B25. And each of those players have now scored 2 points for being inside of the mark there. So what? Purple would go up 4 because he has 2 spaces in. Gray would go up 2 because he has 2 spaces in. Yellow, unfortunately, is on the outside, which would only gain him 1 point. And gray would also get another point for having 1 right on the outside. And the green player for having someone right in the middle with 3 points for the correct answer. And then I believe it was 1 point for every other answer. So they would get 5 points total. Just want to make sure I scored that properly. I think it was 3 points for the correct answer. The cue giver receives 1 point for, and 1 point for each in the frame. If player guesses, I did that wrong. The player receives 3 points for getting it right in the middle. So purple would be at 5, and green would only be at 3. It would receive 1 point for each token in the middle of the board there. And then play would pass on. I guess we just make a discard pile. Play would pass on to the next person. So everyone would go back into line. Those all stay there. I did that wrong. I was supposed to have 2. And then I guess say purple was the next player. They would end up now being the cue giver. And you would start all over again. You would draw a card, pick a color, and go back to square one until you go through the entire game. This is something I could definitely see being fun with a large crowd of people. I think it definitely got that potential. If you have, 6, 7 people, 8 people all gathered around the table just playing this game, I think that could be really interesting. Now, as a game, obviously, like I just said, I think it can be entertaining. We did find a 2-player variant, which we're going to try out. I can't speak for that because we haven't done it yet, but it does turn it into a bit more of a cooperative game where you're trying to ensure that your partner gets the right color. But we'll see if that really works or not. As for the components and stuff, as I said, honestly, the game wasn't particularly expensive when we got it, but it feels like it. It feels a little cheap, unfortunately. But it can be a great party game. It's definitely one of those games you bust out when you have a bunch of people in. Anyone can play it. It's a super simple game to get into. I don't think you'll really have any problem teaching it to people. You don't have to sit down and go through like a 40-page rule book trying to explain one game to people. This is definitely just pick up. It's that easy. It's just snap of the fingers. Everyone knows how to play, and you're getting right into it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Hues and Cues. That is the unboxing, and I guess we went through the rules too, which is kind of what these unboxings have turned into, provided the game's smaller anyway. But yeah, thank you guys for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I will see you all next time. Remember that if you are on Instagram, you can check us out at the Board Games Are For Everybody Instagram page. We post photos of games that we're playing. We post photos of games that we pick up outside of the monthly pickup videos here on YouTube. And it's always nice to see people show up and let us know what kind of games you're playing, if you've enjoyed the games that we're posting about, stuff like that. So Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, hopefully I will see you all next time. But until then, just remember that board games are for everybody. And until next time, peace.